Hey guys, Dingsy Boy here, and here is another re-upload which I have taken from my Creative Space podcast channel and putting it back onto the Dingsy Boy Show channel. This one is of me telling my story of how I got involved with Gavin and Stacey. Now, keep in mind, this was recorded, I think, a couple of months before the finale episode of Gavin and Stacey was shown on Christmas Day, and I felt like this would be the right time to bring this video onto my Dingsy Boy Show account, because being it on the Creative Space podcast, it's unjustified to put it on there. So this is a more personal story. But without further ado, I would like to share with you my time of being on Gavin and Stacey. Not the finale one, but the special before that. So as of now, what you're about to watch is a sort of pre-recorded video of me telling you my experience before the finale. Enjoy, guys. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Rhys Deans, and this is the story of how I got involved in the filming of Gavin and Stacey. I want to tell you the story of how I got involved in Gavin and Stacey because as a local Barry boy and as a fan, I feel like with Gavin and Stacey just around the corner and doing their final episode and they've just finished filming, I feel like it's a great way of telling you how I got involved, etc. Which, quite frankly, they aren't really secret, to be perfectly honest with you. And also, I didn't want to be jumping on the bandwagon with other people who have done vlogs, showing the filming locations of Gavin and Stacey. This is just purely a fun little story that I, as a Barry boy, got involved in Gavin and Stacey. Without further ado, let's get on with it. This happened just over 5 years ago, and this is going into the summer of 2019. And within that year, we just heard that Gavin and Stacey was going to make a big comeback. They were going to make this big story, and they were going to make a big comeback, and everyone in Barry, well, not just in Barry, but around the UK and maybe the world, we were all really excited for it to be filmed in Barry. And we've had loads of films and TV shows be filmed in Barry, including Doctor Who and Casualty and a few other bits and pieces, but nothing like Gavin and Stacey, because A, it's set in Barry, and B, it's become a major success, a major part of television. At the time, I was and still am with this particular agency that gave me a lot of work as an extra or supporting artist, if you want to be fancy. And when the news came out that Gavin and Stacey were going to be filming again, I started joking with people saying, hey, imagine if I get this job, imagine if I actually end up filming on Gavin and Stacey. And all of a sudden, within a few days after me joking around, and I think just after the announcement, I get the call from this agency saying that there's going to be some filming going on in Barry. They couldn't confirm it. They just said, listen, we have to really state this is a TV show and you have to be here at this specific time. Can you do it? And I was like, of course I'm going to do it. I was given more details and information about the filming within the next couple of days. And by the time it got around the filming day, I was really excited. When it came around to doing the filming, I made my way down to the Tagros Hotel, which is where they were going to film a particular scene in the special, which was going to be set within the Dolphin. Now, for some of you are probably wondering, is the Dolphin a real place? It was a real place. The Dolphin was on Barry Island. It wasn't like the pub that was being filmed at to make it look like it was the Dolphin, but there was the Dolphin. My house to the Tagros Hotel, it took about 10 minutes. It was only a 10-minute walk, but as soon as I got there, I managed to meet up with a friend of mine who is unfortunately no longer with us, called Bryn Stone. Bryn was fortunate that he got on the show as well as I did, and we made our way up to the location. We got signed in, we managed to go into the pub, but we had to sit in the lounge area where all the other extras were, because they were setting up the scene in the bar area. Now, to make the story short and sweet, and when filming did start doing it, I was positioned somewhere near the door, the entrance to the pub, and me, Bryn, managed to stick together on most film shots where we could see everything. Obviously, if you've seen Gavin and Stacey and you've seen that particular episode, you could tell that the entire cast were sat further in the corner next to the stage area where Rob Brydon and Ruth Jones would perform A Fairy Tale in New York. It was so fun, it was so interesting, and it was really exciting to see, you know, James Corden, Ruth Jones, Rob Brydon, Larry Lamb, Matthew Horn, Joanna Page, everyone doing their bit, and you just look at them and you wouldn't even think of them as, you know, the names, the stars. You would think of them as the name of their characters, like a Smithy, there's Nessa, there's etc, etc. It was really exciting just to be part of it, and I remember at the time I was helping out with a friend of mine called Louis Ross, who owns the Barry Baidos shop down the island. I was telling him how I was involved in the filming of Gavin and Stacey, and he chucked me a Barry Baidos Christmas jumper, and he said, "I'll give you 20 quid if you get this jumper on Gavin and Stacey." Unfortunately, I did not. I didn't know if it was appropriate. I didn't know if it would ruin the filming, because sometimes it happens. Sometimes you wear particular clothings and you get into trouble for it. It has happened. I mean, I've been on Casualty and you can't wear any brand shoes, t-shirts, jeans, jackets. You just simply can't. I think it's for copyright purposes or branding purposes. I'm not too sure, but I don't know, it was at that time, I don't think it was appropriate. But then I found out actually from the assistant director, but we were halfway through filming, that I could have worn it. And I did apologise to Louis. I was like, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it, and I missed out on 20 quid. Every time that the crew had to stop and change the cameras and move it into a specific location, of course, we as the actors had to leave the set and wait in the room, but sometimes we were allowed to go and step outside, get a bit of fresh air, because it was warm, it was a very hot day. Straight away, even when filming started, we saw a flood of people just waiting for anyone to come out and see the stars, waiting for everyone to pop out. And it was so funny because there was a few people that I knew, and they would look at me and go, "How did you get on there?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just lucky, really." And it would be funny just to be sitting on the doorsteps of the pub, or just sat on the benches, and I'd be looking out and people would be looking at me going, "Oh, just stick me in, Reece, stick me in." I only had, I see 2 or 3 people say that to me. I didn't have everyone, but even then, even if I did let someone onto the set, I would myself be risking my position of doing the job as an extra, because of continuity. Because if I let someone on and they weren't supposed to be on there, and they're in the background when they're not supposed to, it does ruin the filming. At the time as well, because we were there for 3 days, and these were very, very long days. First night, I think I was there from about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning until 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning the following day at night. It was a very long shoot because they wanted to get everything sorted. They wanted to build up to the scene where obviously Uncle Bryn and Nessa sing A Fairy Tale in New York. What was really lovely about the first day of the filming for that particular scenes, or whatever scene there was, they mentioned the passing of Doris and how she passed away. And every time they would finish the scene, they would go to Doris, obviously within the episode. But I remember when they finished filming, there was a lovely little tribute to Margaret John, who did play Doris, and everyone after filming just went to Maggie. And it was a heartwarming, lovely little gesture. And it's sad that a legend like Margaret John, a legendary character of Doris, is no longer with us. And yeah, it was really lovely. If you noticed, I was caught on camera. There were little bits and pieces within the filmings of that particular scene in the pub where you would see me in the background. You would see me actually turning ahead, and I was in full face, so you saw my face on camera. There was a scene where Jason would come in and he would, be greeted with a roaring, "Hey, welcome," and I would actually be the one right here turning to see what the hell is going on. And I was not there to look at the actors. I actually was caught off guard because everyone went, "Way!" and I went, "What the hell is that?" There was another moment where there was like Matthew Horn, Joanna Page, Ruth Jones and James Corden, they were at the bar and they were all chatting away, and there's me in the background standing next to my friend Bryn and a few others that we were assigned to sit with. There was a moment where some of the extras, where we were pretending to do our little thing, and there was a moment where I turned and I looked at the camera and then backed away and just the other way, and I didn't pick it up at the time when we were filming. I just immediately assumed that, oh, I just did that. But when I did watch it and when I looked back, I zoomed in and I noticed that I was staring at the camera. Part of me to this day feels like when we've heard of all the filming locations in Barry today for Gavin and Stacey, some people have said to me, how come you're not on this one? And I was like, I don't know, maybe I just looked at the camera and they didn't pick me again. And that's probably not the reason, but I always joked around in saying that, and it was funny because I look back now and I just think, oh, I should not have done that, but there we go. So of course, one of the popular scenes in that special was the Fairy Tale in New York sing-along karaoke, where Bryn and Nessa do a version of it, and I will show you right here. If you can see me, I am right next to the bar. I am stood on a stool because I wanted my face to be caught on camera when everything was going on, and it was a blast. It was fun, it was engaging, it was just exciting. It also felt like we were having our own personal concert in some ways, because who wouldn't get the opportunity to see Rob Brydon / Uncle Bryn, Ruth Jones / Nessa singing to you, because we all know the duo of Rob Brydon and Ruth Jones, where they sing Islands in the Stream, and it got big and everything, and they had a little comic relief special stint with Tom Jones. But it felt like that. It felt like we had a personal private concert in the pub, and it was absolutely fantastic. Some of you are going to probably be wondering now through this video and asking the questions, what was the cast like? What were they like on set or off set? What were they doing in between takes? The only thing I can say is that they were lovely, they were talkative, they were professional, they were there to do a job, obviously. And some of you are going to be probably wondering, did any of them speak to us during this the filming? Did anyone come up and make little small chats, etc.? Yeah, some of them did. You know, the actress who played Gwen, I think her name is Mulaney Walters. Her son played the barman, and she would often come over to the bar and check on her son and see if she was all right, and it was really nice that she would make little small chats with us. I mean, I've spoken to Larry Lamb a few seconds while we were at the bar, just a little hello, how are you, etc. Yeah, they didn't say much because obviously they were just chatting away to themselves, and they had to do a job, and obviously they were speaking to the producer, or they were speaking to the director, or they were talking to each other about the script, and you can't really blame them for that. Now, I'm going to say this up front and only go by my personal experience with meeting James Corden, and I've met him a couple of times. As much as people have said that he was a prima donna, he was not very nice in America, etc., my experience of James Corden has always been, he's always been a nice guy. He was always lovely, he was welcoming, he was open to taking selfies and doing autographs, etc. I mean, after the one particular film night, he did leave the set and we were a bit, oh, he's a bit of a prima donna now, but what he did was he went out the back of the pub, came through the car park and actually into the crowd to take photos and autographs, and I managed to get my stuff together, and I just happened to see him come by, and I said, excuse me, James, can I have a selfie? And he was like, yep, no problem, and he took it, and this is the picture. He was really nice and very generous, and that's all I can say, really. So from my experience of James Corden, is that there's nothing really bad to say about him. Sorry to the people that were looking for something bad or negative about James Corden, but again, I've got nothing. Everyone else within the cast were lovely. It was unfortunate that I didn't go up and speak to Larry Lamb or Matthew Horn. I mean, Joanna Page was always lovely. She was always kind and generous to her fans, whoever came to support her and see her. She's basically, as they say on the tin, lovely. Rob Brydon was funny. Everyone else was absolutely wonderful. So in total, I was there along with everyone else for 3 days. It was fun and it was fantastic, and I could not wait to see Gavin and Stacey on that Christmas day. And when it did came out, I was over the moon. I was excited, I was ecstatic, and I did get a few text messages and phone calls and Facebook messages from friends and families going, "We just saw you, we just saw you." We're like, "Oh my God, how did you do it?" There was another part of me when we were doing the filming that I knew for some weird reason they were going to do another episode. But there was a part of me that said to my friend Bryn that they're going to do another one. I don't know what it is, but I don't feel like they're going to bring back an episode and go, "Right, this is it. Here you go. Here's that episode." I feel like they're going to give us something. And sure enough, when it came to the ending of that Christmas special, what happened? Nessa gets down on one knee and asks Smithy to marry her. And then what happens? Blackout. And the credits roll and the famous Gavin and Stacey song came out, and I was like, well, they're going to do another one. Obviously they were going to do another one. Unfortunately, with filming done for this one, for this particular Christmas special slash series finale, I wasn't called back, but I was actually kind of glad. I was actually kind of glad that I didn't. I was glad to do the previous one because it was a lot bigger, because it just came out of nowhere and it wasn't expected, whereas this one, it was kind of expected because of the cliffhanger, and also because my friend Bryn, who sadly passed away 4 years later, he died in 2023, it kind of holds a special place in my heart that him and I got to do that episode and got to be in that famous scene together. So it was really lovely. It has a special place in my heart, that one, and it's an event that I will never ever forget. This is not me to gloat, this is not me to rub it in people's faces, this is just me trying to tell you a lovely little simple story of how I ended up doing this big BBC TV sitcom. I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are excited for the series finale of Gavin and Stacey. For now, we'll have to wait and see if any more news comes about of that fishing trip, because that's the one thing I think everyone wants justice for. We want to know what happened on that bloody fishing trip. Thank you for hearing my story. I hope you really enjoyed it, guys. It's something that I thought would be nice to share with you, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will provide more content for you in the future. But for now, take care guys, and I'll see you all very soon.